Hey guys, welcome back. All right, we're going to finish up embedded commands here. Back again, Ross Jeffries, this fella, Speed Seduction. We left off, he was talking about embedded suggestions are used at the end of a chain of embedded commands. They're designed to help the person interpret what it means. What is the meaning of things happening? Some people really need that. There are some women who are so meaning-based that even though you have all these things happening to you and you're urging and you're commanding them and just to go for it, they still need that extra little push. So the other great thing about the embedded suggestion is that when you say it's on tonight and that's happening now, and you do that little head nod when you do it, it's very subtle. When you do that, she nods back. That's her unconscious acceptance nod. So basically, when we're connected with people in conversation, things happen. We turn our body language toward one another. A lot of times we'll lean into each other. And then sometimes we'll subconsciously do little things like, you know, I'm having a really good time right now. And you'll just do just a tiny little head nod, or it'll be up this way, or it'll be off to the sides. Weirdly enough, we mirror each other when we're both connected in a conversation, and we subconsciously copy one another when we do this, okay? So that's called congruence. And congruence tells our bodies that we're in agreement with one another, we're comfortable with one another and stuff like that. So think about this. I want y'all to think about this for a minute. Think about all the dates that you've been on. Some have been successful, others were not successful. But what if you could film the date, okay? So you're at a restaurant, two people talking to one another, and there's a camera on you watching everything you say and the reaction that that person has to what's being said. And of course, if this is going on, your date's going to be creeped out and everything else. But if you could film it and go back after the night is over and watch everything that's happened, you learn so much from that. So when I first started really getting into stuff like this, I made a mental note of everything that went on in a date. And at first it was too much because I spent so much time focusing on every detail of the person in front of me, I lost track of why I was even there sometimes. So I had to teach myself to be present on the date and record all the things that are working and not working. All right? So kind of keep that in mind. The embedded suggestions would happen at the end of a chain of embedded commands. He brought that up already. Here's an example from him. The commands are in blue, the suggestions are in red, I'll say. Just because a person's starting to feel that, really realizing you want it doesn't mean it's on tonight. It would be really presumptuous for a person to feel that building and recognize it's happening. You see the unconscious head nod. What kind of commands are we giving with a head nod? The commands are in blue. All right, feel that. It's a feeling command. You want it. Actually, you could make an argument that you want it as a suggestion. But I think it's a command. What is the command? It is to want it. In a nutshell, with these embedded commands, he is teaching a method to make people feel like that they want you. All right, I don't like this part of the book. I don't, because there's other ways to do that without having to be direct. And you don't have to say, you want this, don't you? You want this, don't you? And I do not agree with him on this. If you guys would like me to do a video on what you should do instead, let me know, because I'll be happy to show you that. But we're going to finish because this is Ross Jeffries' book review. It'd be really presumptuous, like he said, to fill that building. Recognize it's happening. You could say to me, Ross, isn't recognize a thinking command? Aren't you really giving her a thinking command when you say recognize? We're splitting hairs here, he says. In a sense, recognize it's happening is both a command to think and a suggestion telling her to interpret the events. The reason she's feeling and thinking all this is it's happening and it's on. Again, he has spent too much time on these embedded commands for this shit, honestly. Not a lot of people are going to be able to deliver this correctly. Let's talk a little bit about trance words. Remember, the divisions I'm making with these tools are not cut and dried. They're not black and white. Often, even usually, the tools will overlap. Commands will use trance words. Trance words are words that tend to create an internal focus. But not only that, they engage the right brain, whichever side you're looking at. They engage the more hypnotic or visual mechanisms in the mind, or those mechanisms which imply that something is happening outside of conscious control and activate the childlike right brain. For example, realize, wonder, imagine, ponder, consider, and conclude. When you wonder what it would be like to really master embedded commands, and you imagine all the things that will flow from women as a result of that, I'm not sure just how clearly you can ponder how exciting that will be. You might allow yourself to consider that it feels really wonderful. So, stopping there, he went through all of these words to get her to feel one thing. That is very time consuming. And as you will see when you try these things in the real world, you don't have time for mistake, doubt, error, buyer's remorse, all of this stuff to set in. To go over all of this stuff just to make someone think that they want to do this. Okay, this is my disagreement with him about this. I see his point, but his point and the success rate is not high. It's just not. So, sorry, Ross. Trance words are words that engage the imagination and engage the fantasy mechanisms, if you will. When I tell you to imagine how great it'll be to master embedded commands, it's engaging your fantasy mechanisms. This is probably the best part of all his embedded commands are trance words, and I'm going to change it, trance words to induce feelings and thoughts. So there are really great ways to engage a woman's fantasy mechanisms, he says, to bypass their critical left brain and engage their right brain. There are also what I would like to call trance phrases. I don't want you to get too mucked up here, but trance phrases imply a lack of conscious, willingful acting. They imply that you will just not be able to resist it. For example, find yourself. When you find yourself using embedded commands and you allow that to happen, when you find yourself doing something, what does that imply? It implies that you couldn't help it. You just had to take action. That implies that it's coming from a deeper level of the mind. Trance words are in bold in this example. Now, you guys can't see it, but I'll emphasize the bold so you can kind of get his point here. When you picture what it would be like to have a wild adventure, you don't need to see it clearly, and imagine it's so good. What's important is that you can wonder, really wonder, how you can find the courage to get that it's on and take action now. All right, that is the dumbest fucking statement I have ever heard in my life. Don't do that, guys. Just don't. Okay? That will be the world's quickest date if you tell a girl what's important is you can really wonder how to find the courage to get it on and take action now. That's dumb as fuck. So, no. You'll see that there are other commands and suggestions in here, but I just want you to look at the trance words. Picture, imagine, and wonder. I'm going to give you 3 better trance words to use. Not picture, imagine, and wonder. Going down, that's a great trance word. It's getting harder each time. Work that into a sentence. Going down, it's getting harder each time. And something occurred to me. I read and watched a movie about someone. If you guys know who I'm talking about, I'll be quite impressed. Put it in the comments. But someone told the person that they were after, hint, hint, that when you look at it, you'll always want it. That was one of the boldest statements I'd ever heard. When you look at it, you will always want it. And for the rest of that person's life, they did. So to me, that is a greater phrase than anything that's in this fucking book. So again, there's y'all's homework for this episode. Find and let me know who said that. All right, going back to this. Here's what I'd like you to do as an assignment, he says. What are the emotional states you would like a woman to feel around you? What are the kinds of thoughts you would like a woman to think about you? What are the kinds of actions you would like a woman to take? That's the first thing. What are the feelings, the thoughts, the actions? For each of these, write out a command. Then I want you to write out the weasel phrase you'll use to embed them. It's not important to. If you were to, you can. You don't need to. You shouldn't. Then I want you to write out 2 or 3 sentences to put it all together. Good to do. All right, I'm going to stop him on that. It's good to think of what you want the people to think, how you want them to feel, how you want them to react. That's a great exercise. The bad part, do not use what he said as far as his embedded commands. All right, make your own. Make your own that's going to sound natural coming out of your mouth. Not something scripted, just it needs to be natural. However you speak, whatever language you speak, whatever it is, it needs to sound natural coming out of your mouth, okay? So it's okay to write that down. Just put it into your own words and do it, okay? Now he says for the second assignment, go out into the real world and try to get caught. All right, he uses the word caught. I want you to try to get caught. When I said to my original mentor, aren't I going to get caught? He said, they don't get it. Consciously, they never get it. If you're subtle, they'll never get it. My challenge is using what you've put together in your first assignment, go out and try it 5 times with women in the real world. If you're already using a different style of pickup, integrate these commands into your style and see how it improves things. Add the commands and suggestions into your style you might already be using. All right. That's the end, finally, of lesson 3, which is his embedded commands. Okay. Again, we talked about things to change. It is okay to go out in the real world and try this like he said. He's right. If done correctly, it's so subtle they don't even know what's going on. The problem, guys and girls, your ability the first time to be able to do this is next to nil as far as success rate. You have to do this a lot before you nail it down to where it feels comfortable. Because how do you think it looks if you say all the words correctly, all right, on your face, you say all the words correctly, but then you look nervous doing it, okay? Everything that comes out of your mouth word-wise is perfect, but then you look nervous doing it. Or you don't look nervous doing it, but then you fuck up all the words that come out of your mouth. One of these 2 things are going to happen your first time doing this because you've not practiced, you've not done it, and you've not felt a little bit of rejection, which is key. Rejection is a good thing, guys. It's a good thing. Rejection teaches us what not to do again, okay? And if you think you can go through it without rejection, then stop now. Quit talking, quit listening, quit watching, quit doing everything, because life is not like that. You will feel rejected by people from time to time in life. That's just who we all are with one another. Rejection should fuel you. It shouldn't frustrate you, okay? All right, so again, we're finally done with embedded commands. Our next topic that'll be in the next video is lesson 4, conversational frameworks and transitional phrases. What that's going to go into is how to talk to people, how to start talking to people, and how to keep people talking, which most everyone struggles with today, okay? So this topic will be a good one. We'll probably take a few videos to get through it because I'm going to want to stop and share stories and everything else with this. So again, embedded commands, do your homework. Someone tell me who said that phrase. Every time you look at it, you're going to want it, okay? Just tell me who that was. Like, subscribe, comment, do all the things. We'll see you back here on the next video. Love you guys. Good luck.